Hi, I'm Vasela from Plateful Nutrition, and you are watching Holistic Living in Luxembourg. And in this episode today, we're going to talk about gut health, about fermented drinks, about bacteria, healthy ones, and I'm super happy to welcome Jennifer from the Happy Gut Company. And she's gonna be my guest today. And welcome, Jennifer. And
thank you very much for having me, Vasela.
So, can we start by just asking you and just telling maybe a little bit about your company, the Happy Gut Company? How did you decide to start this company in the first place?
Well, actually, I started the company purely by accident. So essentially, I'm very much a big fermented food and drink fan. I've been making them since I was as far as I could remember, as far as I can think about cooking, making food and drinks, really. I mean, I started making kimchi when I was about 18 months. Essentially, when I could walk, I was making something fermented. So when I came to Luxembourg, I realized there was nothing like that available in the market. So I started making things myself, and then I had babies, and got married, had babies, and then things get hectic, and I stopped making it. And when I stopped my last job, one day I just walked into the supermarket. I thought, okay, I really want to have something, a good quality kombucha or kefir, or maybe a good jar of kimchi, something that's available, something tastes good and good for you, and you know, it's that's just widely available. Went to the supermarket, couldn't find anything, so I decided to say, okay, I'm going to come home, make it myself. So I managed to make about 10 kilo of kimchi.
Wow!
And I realized 10 kilo of kimchi was a bit too much, and so we, that was a lot of kimchi. So I went to, I just went on a social group, social media group, and I said, does anybody want to buy anything? And I realized my kimchi sold really fast. And then I had a kombucha as well, and so everything just started from there, and I started doing it as a hobby. And eventually I realized, having tried so many different producers in Luxembourg, I realized actually the quality of the ingredients are so good here, but there aren't many really quality fermented food and drinks around.
Yes.
So I decided to make them myself, and started off as a hobby, and then got all my license and got all my qualification I needed. And then I started up my company around about August, September this year.
Wow, so super fresh.
It is quite fresh. It's very fresh. The company itself is very fresh, but I've been practicing whole fermentation
all your life. You've been gathering experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Yeah, that's how Happy Guts was formed. And the idea was that to come up with something that actually tastes good, good for you, and of course something that actually, most important for me, is that actually widely available. Yeah.
I think this is so interesting because when I went to the US, but in general, we all know it in the US, there is such a hype on fermented foods and drinks, and it's all about basically the gut, and
that's
it's very popular. You have all
Yeah.
the probiotic supplements, the prebiotics. It's like actually it can be even confusing to people because it's so much out there.
That's right. Yeah.
Whereas here, it's true, there is nothing like this, and I was so excited when I discovered you and your drinks because, as you said, there was nothing here that even remotely resembles the things that I have tried in the US, but also it's just that honestly for me didn't even taste good what was available there. And then your drinks on the other hand are just a delight to drink, and they make my guts happy, but also just it makes me happy. So what I wanted to ask you, have you noticed any difference, like either in you or in your clients after consuming fermented foods?
I think definitely. I think first of all, you are very right. I think anything starting off the US is actually very much what I call food fad.
Yes.
So it's very much about fashion. It's very much what's in trend. But if you actually look at fermentation, for instance, kombucha started about 2 BC in China. Purely it's ancient. It's purely by accident. Kimchi started in Korea and also in northern eastern part of China. It's for hundreds of years as well. So actually, fermentation itself is nothing new. It's always been there, and it's just that people forgot about it. I think people just don't stop doing it. Fermentation is all about taking things slow. Take your time and use the best ingredients you can find. Create something delicious and good for you, but you must take your time. And the things for me, it's something that I'm very passionate about. Is that create something that's good for me, good for my family. That's how I initially started it. What I have noticed is that since I started eating fermented drinks and food, consuming myself for such a long period of time, with my kids as well, first of all, what I have found is that the weight control. And of course, you have better gut health, better bowel movement, which is, I think, is very, very important that people often overlook at that.
Yeah, or even they don't even know what a healthy bowel movement is.
Exactly. And I basically had this I'm very much into preparing something, not just look good, taste good, but ideally that I want something that my children would eat that actually make them feel better afterwards. Yeah. And so what I have noticed is that ever since that they started eating kimchi, they started drinking kombucha, kefir, they have better immunity, and also they don't have, I mean, for instance, now there are bugs going around. Of course, they have their sniffles and coughs, whatever, but you never see them taking antibiotics or severe infections. Or what I have noticed in my client is that the other biggest change is the mood boost. Mm-hmm. I genuinely believe that better gut health helps your mood, how you process information, how you manage your mood. We do have a very hectic life, and I'm hoping that my products and the lifestyle that I'm promoting will not just help people to improve their overall health, but generally make them feel happy.
Yeah.
I think that's so important. I think that's why we are drinking and we're eating. I think.
I really like, just to go back at what you mentioned about the fact that fermented drinks and foods are actually part of ancient cultures, but it's actually in every, if you think about it, in every tradition.
Definitely,
it is included. You know, I'm from Bulgaria, so in Bulgaria we have the yogurt, which is so famous, but you also have the you have sauerkraut and actually wild fermented vegetables, which is, in a way, in all cultures, actually, fermentation has been used as a way to preserve vegetables because in the winter we don't have it. And I think that it plays definitely a very important role to longevity, as you mentioned, health and well-being in general. And nowadays it's an issue because a lot of people don't consume them, not at all. Like, you know, you're consuming this multiple times a day. There's people, if they consume it once a month, it's
it's already something.
It's already something.
Yeah, I think definitely there's such a thing. What I really believe that fermentation food is all about slow food. Take your time to choose where you're eating, be mindful. And I think generally speaking, many people forget about that, because now if you go into a supermarket, everything's off the shelf. You can choose whatever you want very quickly. You can get something quickly. You can consume them quickly. You can throw away something quickly. But what I'm trying to promoting people is that be very mindful about what you are eating. Be mindful how you prepare them. Have some respect for the ingredients put in front of you, the food that you eat, and people who produce them. And that for me is very crucial. I think that's above all. It's something that I'm really trying to get out there for people to sort of incorporate that idea into their everyday life.
Oh, that's amazing. And while we're talking about this, when you shop and, you know, it's this fast consumption kind of, I want it now, I want it, you know, quickly and right now, because it just came up in my mind. We mentioned there are a few fermented items in the shop, on the shelves that we can find. But what are your tips, and how can you find, what do you need to pay attention to when you go shopping for something like a fermented either kefir beverage or like a food item? What should you pay attention to when you choose?
I think generally speaking, it is quite a difficult thing to find quality fermented goods. That's the first reason I started a company here, specializing in the products. But when you go on the market, I think in anything you can find, I think first of all, try to choose something that's locally produced, and try to choose something that's organically produced. And the other thing is also have a look at the ingredients, what is actually in there. I mean, I'm trying to, what I always try to do is that, for instance, with kimchi, I always try to make sure...
Sorry, I'm interrupting you, this is so good. I love this.
I think, for instance, what I generally find is that when you can find fermented goods on the market, it's very much about how long that will keep in the fridge.
Okay.
And the other thing is also that there are so many, I think once the marketing technique come in, there are a lot of terminologies thrown in, you know, how many live bacteria is in there, how many, you know, how well it's, you know, how organic it is. But I think generally speaking, when you're actually going to do shopping with anything you are buying, what I normally do, first of all, I ask myself, is it seasonal? Is it local? Is it organic? Does the producer actually know what that is? For instance, you know, I've tried many kimchis, for instance. I do have to say my kimchi is actually slightly adopted according to the European taste, because I deeply believe when you produce something, it's for people to consume.
Yes.
If people find it hard to,
the customer
exactly.
Yes.
And I think if the customer genuinely find it difficult to tolerate, what is the spiciness, what is the pungency, I think there might be that you're actually creating a barrier. So I think my general idea was that to create something as authentic as possible and as deliciously as I can, that's actually generally good for you. So I think it's actually worth a while when you actually choose a product, speak to the whether it's a person working on the shelf to say, what do you know what those things are, talk to them, see whether they have an idea what the products are, and have a look at where the product is produced. That's one of the tips that I normally give to all my clients when they do shopping. And the other things also, I always encourage people, when you can make something, try to do it at home.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my motto as well. Basically taking back control.
Yeah.
Cooking is taking back
Definitely.
control, not outsourcing your food.
Yeah.
The way your food is produced and the ingredients that are being used.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a contradiction as a producer to say that, because I know that a lot of things I do is that it's a supply market. When there's a gap in the market, you supply that. But on the other hand, one of the things my company and myself is trying to achieve is to teach people how to make something so simple and taste delicious at home. And when you cannot do that, here's where our products come in. So,
yeah, but I think that's the companies like yours, that's the advantage, because as you mentioned, they're local.
Yeah.
You have the end consumer in your mind, and you're producing something from scratch, and you're not really, of course you have to profit in mind, because of course we all need to survive, but it's not all about profit. You're actually really paying a lot of attention on the ingredients that go in, on how you're producing it, making sure that those drinks, for example, are really contain all of bacteria. And talking about bacteria, diversity, that's another thing that is so important in gut health, because even if you consume a fermented product, and if it's the same fermented product over and over again, you might, you need a diversity, so a wide range of bacteria in your gut in order to be truly healthy. How can you make sure that you get a wide range of good bacteria?
I think there are a couple of things here. So first of all, in our company, we produce several different types of fermented goods. So if you look at, we have cafe tonic, which essentially is a water cafe, but we make it with organic fruits and vegetables, as well as herbs and spices. And then we have kombucha as well, which is essentially probiotic fermented tea. And then we have kimchi. And then the other thing what we do is that we also run sourdough workshop. So the idea is that we try to basically incorporate different elements into your diet by promoting different products. And also, here is something very important, is that just by drinking probiotic drinks doesn't mean you're going to have a healthy gut. It's so important to incorporate prebiotic, which is healthy dietary fiber.
Plants,
fibers,
yes,
and incorporate as many different type of plants, different type of food as possible. And I think very important, people just have to take, food is what it is. Some of the foods would taste sweet, some would taste bitter, some would taste sour. And my mother's Chinese, and we always, my grandmother always told me that that you must be able to take the sourness and the bitterness in life, and you also have to be able to enjoy the sweetness in life.
Okay. So Jennifer, we did actually a few workshops together.
That's right,
year,
we did. Yes,
which
we did.
Very successful.
Great fun.
We have to do that again.
We have to do that again. Yes,
it was a lot of fun, and we talked all about the gut and the gut health. I have been very interested in this topic. I did a certification course on the gut microbiome, and I also know how important it is to have a balanced gut and to eat healthy in general. The importance of prebiotics that we mentioned as well, and actually eating a wide range of foods, which is also super important, and fiber, which a lot of people unfortunately it kind of goes unnoticed, because people a lot of times are focused on macronutrients, carbs, protein, fats.
That's right.
Fiber is such an important component of health, and so that's another thing that we definitely need to focus on more. But during our workshops, we also talked a lot about the gut-brain axis, which right now is so hot, and a lot of research is emerging. Still lots of things to know about it, because it's such a new topic. But let's just talk a little bit about it. You mentioned it already. When you have a happy gut, obviously your body is happy.
Yes.
But what have you noticed yourself?
There's so many. I think that many research has been done in the past few years, in the past, I would say, a decade, on how important gut health is, not just to your physical health, but mental health as well. I think a very simple example is that, say, if you have a very good meal, a genuinely a lovely, balanced meal, you actually feel very happy afterwards. Mm-hmm. And of course, I have seen people, a lot of my clients actually come with problems with constipation, for instance, which I suffered after I had my second baby. And that's one of the reasons I started incorporating more fermented food into my diet. And I remember that how stressed I always felt, and how under the weather I used to feel. It was antibiotics as soon as the weather gets cold. Mm. I suffer that. And I have to say, ever since I started putting myself back onto this probiotic lifestyle, that stopped. And I'm a much happier, better person. I would say that not just because I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, that I love, but on the other hand, I have to say that following this particular lifestyle changed myself a lot as well. And I have noticed that in my children's health. I've noticed that in my husband's, and also in many of my clients as well. And so one of the things what I genuinely believe is that when you actually eat well, you do feel happier. I mean, there was a...
You feel nourished.
Yeah, you feel nourished. I think food is there to be, it's one true thing that actually can nourish us. And when we eat well, we feel happier.
Sometimes our gut can influence what we crave for. Because that's obviously there is this kind of connection between the gut and the brain, where actually sometimes the bacteria in our gut can actually kind of influence what we're craving, whether it is bread or sugar.
Yes,
because
definitely.
There are certain foods that actually help feed certain bacteria, right?
That's very right. I think that's very right, because for instance that your gut health also linked with your hormone balance as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously when your hormones imbalance, of course you crave more sugar, more carbs, and not very healthy carbs, for instance. And and so I think it's so important that when your gut is healthy, everything we do is all eventually linked back to how we feel, how your gut is like.
Yeah. I think there is also a lot of relationship between the soil, because you mentioned like going back, tracing back where food comes from. It's the same kind of, if you are eating food grown on a rich soil, there's high minerals and nutrients, and
very much so,
actually healthy bacteria that obviously is going to nourish you much more than if you're eating conventional food that it's maybe not.
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely.
That it's grown on a depleted soil. But then that's for a whole other discussion. Can you give us 5 tips? Like easy tips that you can start incorporating right now to have.
Okay, I think there are several things you can do. I mean, first of all, try to incorporate one kind of fermented goods per day. Whether it's kefir, whether it's kefir tonic, whether it's kombucha, whether it's kimchi. Sauerkraut or shukru, or but make sure it's a raw shukru. Make sure it's a wild fermented shukru, and try to incorporate one of these in your daily diet. Increase your vegetables and fruit intake, especially vegetables. So important. And third, try to try a different cuisine every other day, or try to cook your vegetable differently. There are so many different ways of making your vegetable tasty. Try to incorporate different herbs, different spices. For instance, I made a salad once, and that salad had 30 different type of ingredients. Fourth, try and go to your local market, speak to your local producers. Try to incorporate food, not just organically grown, but try to incorporate food that is locally grown, seasonal. Seasonal is very important. There are people who ask me, why am I stop doing certain drinks in the winter? I said, well, there's no elderflower in the winter. It's that simple. Some food is not supposed to be consumed a certain time of the year. For instance, you wouldn't want to eat watermelon in the winter, but now it's available. You can do it if you want to. But I think every different season, nature gave us a lot of treasures. So you just have to eat according to season. When you eat according to season, it's actually better for your health, overall health, and it's better for the local economy as well. And the other thing, the last but not the least, is basically try to cook your own food. So important. Cook your own food. Speak to someone like yourself who know how to do it. Get different tips. Get creative. Make cooking, make eating a fun family thing. Eat at a table. Don't eat on the train from the television. It's the worst thing you can do.
Absolutely.
It's bad for digestion. It's you don't really enjoy the food very much. There's no respect for the chef, for sure, if there is one, and try to just basically make food an important element of your life.
Yeah.
And I think if you can do this, it's very simple things to do. And I think anybody can do that.
Absolutely.
And then you can actually feel happier and healthier, for sure.
That was amazing. Thank you so much,
Thank you
Jennifer.
very much.
It was such a pleasure to have you over, and thank you for bringing this delicious kombucha. We're going to enjoy it now further. Yeah. And thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the tips and information that Jennifer provided for you. And if you're interested, and if you're in Luxembourg and interested in trying out her drinks, make sure you check out her website, thehappygutscompany.com. And that's it from us for today, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.